And then again, you have some really great defensive players that, like yesterday I really have to give credit to Claxton. He's a five, and he was even picking me full court. He was really guarding me good. So you have a lot of great defensive players too.
The versatility element. It's the guys like Aaron Gordon that can guard on the back line, defensive rebound, and guard on the perimeter. Jason Tatum can do that too, right? PJ Washington has showed some of that. It is the versatile defensive players. Derek Lively is a great example. It is the versatile defensive players that can do both that bring the most value. A big, strong athlete that can hang around inside and defend on the perimeter is by far the most valuable type of defender that you can have.
Yo, what's good, y'all? It's your boy AJ and it's your boy Rage. So we're here. We're gonna talk about Nic Claxton. So much to get into. We saw some articles from Jake Fisher, and he just basically described the architect of what Nick will get in the free agency, because he compared it to kind of like Isaiah Hartenstein. So we're gonna get into that. But make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe. Let's get into it, Rage. So Jake Fisher, he reported out. This is what exactly, I want to quote what exactly the article said. It said, for a team that's looking to upgrade at center, the market isn't exactly flush with strong starting options. Nic Claxton will likely command a similar dollar figure to Hartenstein expected range. Now it says NBA personnel have long prepared for the Nets' switchable center. I lost my place. To remain with Brooklyn, the Nets can also begin to legally negotiate Claxton's next agreement the day after the NBA finals conclude as part of the league's new collective bargaining agreement. So it looks like the Nets having a little advantage against the other teams because they can negotiate with Claxton. Now, Rage, we were literally just talking about this, about Isaiah Hartenstein possibly getting 4 for 80. Well, the most the Knicks can offer him was very interesting. I think it's 4 for 72.5. So, and then the market is saying he can get 4 for 80 or 4 for 100. So give me your real quick like analysis of like Claxton versus Hartenstein, because a lot of people are going to, the title of this video is called the Nic Claxton argument, and there's people that do not want Nic Claxton paid at least 25 a year. They do not want him paid around 20, 22, 23, up that range. But yeah, what do you think of Hartenstein and Claxton's view, kind of value similar contracts?
So at least with Nic Claxton and Hartenstein, they're both pretty similar like players. Obviously, like if you watch ball, you
Yeah.
know that. But with Claxton, obviously he had the better stats, and he's kind of just been that guy over him So
Yeah.
this past season, Nic Claxton averaged 11.8 points per game, 9.9 rebounds. He averaged he shot 60 he
50.
shot 63% from the field.
Mhm.
And obviously, the free throw percentage at 55% is still kind of, it's still, we still would like it to get a little bit higher. But
Yeah.
Nic Claxton had a strong season this past year, especially with everything going on. Nic Claxton has had to deal with, the constant head coaching changes throughout his entire career, the
Yeah.
constant player changes, the constant teammate changes. It's been hectic for his career for sure. But Hartenstein, has obviously bounced around a little bit too. But
Mhm.
this was really his, breakout year in a New York Knicks uniform. He averaged 7.8 points per game, 8.3 rebounds per game. He shot the ball at a 64.4% rate at 25.3 minutes per game. He started in 49 games out of the 75 he played. Nic Claxton started all of his games,
Yeah.
71, and he played 29.8 minutes per game. So obviously Nic Claxton has, the better stats, but Hartenstein is projected to get a lot of money with
Yeah.
how he played in New York. But the big thing is, which is why I think Hartenstein is projected to get, this money, is because he was on the Knicks. Being on a
Yeah.
team like the Knicks, a team that plays, team basketball, and that's a team that's actually run potently,
Yeah.
they're able to get the most out of each and every one of their guys, and they're in a solid system. Hartenstein was able to benefit from that and be
Yeah.
that effort guy off, he was able to be that guy, especially with Mitchell Robinson being hurt. He was
Yeah.
able to show himself out. And, on a team like that, he's able to really show himself out. Meanwhile, Nic Claxton has had to deal with all these different head coaches, and he's
Yeah.
had to deal with, all of the teammate changes. It's been constant.
Yeah,
There's
it's a great point.
been a constant movement around things, and Nic Claxton's stats are still better. And there are people
Yeah.
who aren't willing to pay him 25 mil. Although that is the backside, be willing to give him. I'd still
Mhm.
be willing to give him that money because at the end of the day, if Hardenstein is able to reach a contract like that, Nic Claxton is definitely deserves more money than Hardenstein. And
Yeah.
if Hardenstein gets 25, I mean, it's only right that you pay Claxton the same amount. It's just, but at least we have the ability to talk with Claxton right after the finals
Yeah.
and negotiate a contract. And it's been clear that Nic Claxton has been a priority for the Nets. At least we hope. And if we can get a contract before Hardenstein, that'll set up Hardenstein's value. There's no reason that Isaiah Hardenstein, his value should determine Nic Claxton's.
Yeah.
It should be the other way around. Claxton should determine Hardenstein's value because, like I said, Claxton is definitely better than Hardenstein.
Yeah. And it's thing with like Nets fans, because when I first heard, when I thought of Nick on the market, I was thinking more like 4 for 80. That was my first guess. Like, okay, maybe 4 for 80 sounds good. I wasn't expecting the 25 part of it to come, but we got that report, I think, earlier, a couple of weeks ago, about the Nets are willing to go the limit to keep Claxton, like whatever it takes. And we saw how much, Sean said it was a priority for it to, the Nets to keep Claxton. And, Jordy jumped on the train and was like, oh, yeah, he's going to be a defensive player of the year in a few years. And like, eventually he's going to be that. So they all have very strong words to say about Claxton. But it's all about Claxton's decision at the end of the day, if he wants to stay. But we compare that with the other teams that are going to offer. It's like, does he want to stay for the more money, or does he care about money or winning? That's where you think like he could take less and go out to maybe find a different team, or he would get paid the most. So what do you think
And
Claxton's
and
mindset
then
is like towards that, like, and stay with
and
us, Mhm.
So obviously, if we show that, intention of being willing to pay him, the
Mhm.
money that he deserves and the money that, he might be able to get,
Mhm.
I think Claxton definitely does say. I mean, he has, his girlfriend or whatever. She's pretty involved in, the New York thing.
Mhm.
So is Claxton. Claxton hasn't been really,
The
he's never
fashionista.
voiced any.
They
Yeah,
call
if you know Nick Claxton's
Claxton the
fashionista.
fashionista. That's what they call him. Yeah.
But yeah, but Nic Claxton, there hasn't been any you haven't been able to see any visual discomfort of him in Brooklyn. He hasn't voiced anything. He hasn't ever requested out. I
Yeah.
mean, if we're willing to pay him as much as we're willing, as much as we say we are, I think Claxton stays. There are other teams that can offer him, a good amount of money. There are going to be teams maybe that are OKC are interested. See
Mhm.
what Memphis is up to. Maybe those teams. But it's like if Nic Claxton is willing to stay, and you got to think if Nic Claxton is going to be paired with Noah Clowney,
Mhm.
somebody who's also able to help benefit him because you can't rely on Nic Claxton to do everything defensively. And that's
Yeah.
something that people have to understand is that if Nic Claxton can't switch on to Donovan Mitchell, Steph Curry, and all these players and continue to guard the interior too, that's just not
Yeah.
going to happen. He's got to,
Yeah.
he can't guard everything. And if you have
Yeah.
Noah Clowney, obviously, both of them have to gain weight. But the thing
Yeah.
is that when you're in a rebuilding situation, and all of these guys, and these guys are, still young. Nic Claxton still has to gain weight, but he's been gaining weight. And
Mhm.
Noah Clowney's only going into a second year. He's 19 years old.
Yeah.
These guys can gain weight. And if you go in a rebuilding situation where you have Jordy Fernandez, who is a good coach and was rated the highest, the best assistant coach in the NBA, if you're able to
Mhm.
have that mixed with all, especially in a rebuilding situation, you're able to have all that complement each other. Nic Claxton's definitely going to be in a way better situation. It's really just, about having the consistency and having, being able to really gain, you're really able to gain chemistry with teammates because Nic Claxton, like I said, is been with a bunch of different teammates his whole career. Been
Yeah.
paired with Nic Claxton, he's been paired with Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, so many different forwards, KD. There's been so many different players that he's played with, and if he's able to be paired next to Noah Clowney for the foreseeable future, I mean, Nic Claxton definitely could be the player that we think he could be. It
Yeah.
all depends.
Uh,
Hopefully, Jordy Fernandez is able to elevate Claxton as a player.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want everybody to in the comments, let us know what you guys think about Claxton. Like, are you on the or not trade? I mean, we don't want Claxton on the team, or let's go a different direction.
Let me
Or are
walk.
you on the keep Claxton at all costs train? Like, we'll pay him the 20. I'm willing to pay him 20 plus 23, 25, or to keep him. What direction do you guys are in the comments? Let us know. But real quick on our last points about Claxton, man. It's like, yeah, like I said, we see all the Twitter comments and people saying like, oh, Claxton lacks. We know Claxton has flaws, right? We know he has flaws. Every player is not perfect, like Rach was saying. He has his flaws with his free throw shooting, and he has his flaws in his offensive creation in the post, which is things he got to work on. And then again, his jump shooting, what people I don't have the clips of that, but we know he's taking jump shots. I think he made 1 3 this year. He's taken jump shots before. It's just not really part of the Nets offense, and he's not really encouraged to. Although he should be working on it, right? We think about that, right? And he's still at what 25 years old. Like I think why I think he's more valuable to this team is because it's like, first of all, he's a younger asset, and he's gonna. I've like what I've seen these clips of Claxton guarding, and I've spoke about this before. Like I've once we drafted Clax and I like did the research on and everything. Like these are just not regular metrics, bro. Like these are insane metrics when you think about like the analytics of his ISO possessions. We have shout out to NBA University. Most layups, dunks blocked per 100 possessions. Nick was 5th on the list behind Brooke, Victor Wembanyama, Chet, and Walker Kessler this year. And then you go to the top 10 mobile bigs by B-Ball Index. Nic Claxton was number 1. Victor Wembanyama was number 2. And I think Nick allowed 0.79 points per possession between all mobile bigs. So that's like, those are just really, really hard. Like you can't just find like, bro, is it that easy to find a 6'11" guy that can do that? Like I just feel like it's hard to find that
You
still.
just don't
I know the
find
league
that
is
really,
changing, but yeah, it's just to me,
you
it's
just don't really find that. And it's like
yeah, it's hard.
if you're able to pair Noah Clowney next to him and he's able to, carry a jump shot and help guard guys at the perimeter, we know Noah Clowney can
Yeah,
do it. We were able to see those points later in the season where Noah Clowney was actually able to contribute
yeah,
and he was, playing good defense and shooting the ball well and getting in the post. He
yeah,
was creating for himself. There was a lot of good things to see out of Noah Clowney. And not only that, he was in the G League proving himself. He had a very,
yeah,
very strong campaign in the G League this past year,
yeah. So it's
and
like
that's very important. We had
that's
no
why
idea what he would be coming into this season with the summer league that he had, and with the
exactly,
just the with the
exactly.
overall talent that he was.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
look
So
at
it's
him now.
like people focus on Nick's money and they don't focus on Nick's impact and the future roster building. Like to me, building around Cam Thomas and Claxton is very, very important. Those are the two like I want to keep and build around because they're young, they're really good players, and I want to keep them. And they're ours. Like we drafted them, right? So it's like I don't see why people are like, oh, just because Nick doesn't shoot free throws well, or let's say he's 55% from the free throw, just because
He gets
Nick
bodied.
yeah, just because he gets bodied, all those criticisms he has, and he hasn't shoot yet. Like people got to understand that's not how basketball works. You got to think about it in a vacuum. You got to have players around Nick and Cam that gonna complement each other. Complement them and help them for their weaknesses. And then if that's the way if you want to get a star and do all that, but keep them and then build around them too, build around that 3, that's fine. If you want to rebuild and build around a young core and keep them at the middle of your young core, that's fine. But you just need multiple players. It's not just a one person, one thing. Just because Cam could score a million points and he's not that great at defense doesn't mean okay, he's not good at defense, so we got to get rid of him. That's not how like basketball works. You know what I'm saying?
And then even after paying Nic Claxton this year, we would still be projected to have $75 million in cap space for 2025.
Yeah,
If you go into a rebuild situation, you will have even more money.
yeah,
You gotta just think of that. Like if you're obviously you could be worried about paying them right now, but the
yeah,
thing is that if you're planning for the future and you do end up trading, you end up trading guys and you end up just getting people on uh on expiring contracts and you're able to just, kind of just able to take that money off and you're able to take that burden off and you're able to spend that money elsewhere
yeah,
with your younger guys. If anything, you just extend your younger guys, extend Claxton.
yeah,
And with that money, you're able to get some free agents and you're
yeah,
able to get some guys to help complement everybody else.
yeah.
Get three and
So
D guys, maybe you get a backup point guard, find another center. You
yeah,
never know. I mean, obviously we have Dayron Sharp, but you can all there's always something that you can help do to improve your roster. And
yeah,
the thing is that if you have $75 million in cap space to do it, I mean, that's a pretty good amount of money to get some stuff done. especially with a team that you have where you're able to, like, especially if you go in a rebuild situation where you're able to not only draft third, but get your pick back in 2025, because I think that's a must. You're able to do that and have all that money on top of that to help complement that.
Yeah,
There's
so
a
I'm saying,
lot of good things that could come with extending him. And if you're able to keep him and Noah Clowney together, that's good. Noah Clowney's only going into a second year. He's not making a ton of money.
yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like confused of why like people want to trade him. Well, let us know in the comments why you guys, like, if you're mad at Clax or if you're upset at how he plays, or give us the reasons why you don't want Clax on the team, because there is a certain part of that's like Twitter that doesn't want to pay him, doesn't want him on the team. So I want to know exactly what you guys are thinking about that. For me, I said, me and Rage on our standpoints, we want to keep Clax and extend it because it's for the betterment and the future of the Nets. You know what I'm saying? Just,
And it's like, if we get rid of Claxton and we let
yeah.
him walk, who is our replacement? That's
Yeah,
like,
I'm
we
just thinking of
just
like
don't
real
have that.
quick,
Noah
like
Clowney is not
who is
supposed to
our,
play center. Noah Clowney's
who
not supposed to be
defends?
the center.
Who defends on this team? And like I said, if you come up with a great comment or something like, oh, we can trade, or not trade, but we can find somebody else, like, tell me who the person is that could do look at the clips I'm looking at the clips I'm about to play, who can do this. You know what I'm saying? Find me the player that can do this on Luka, or this on Steph, or hold a possession on like some of the greatest players in the world. Just let me know. Because if you guys can find somebody that does that at a high level, like, you know what I'm saying? And defense is important in this league. You know how it's important. And I know Clax has his flaws, but like I said, that's on Sean. You see he's struggling with rebounders, you get another guy that can be an enforcer, or who has a big body four that can shoot and rebound. You seen Clax doesn't shoot free throws well. You can go small with Clowney, build him up, or you find another guy that could, a backup center like a Nas Reed type of center, or those good backup centers in the league. You can shoot free throws well. There you go. You know what I'm saying? Shouldn't be all on like, oh, let's throw everything in the garbage just because he can't do one thing well. That's not good
Like,
team
every
building.
player has their flaws. It's just how you build around them.
Yeah, like, bro, when I'm
Every
watching
single
Derek
player
Lively
on the
doing well,
Mavs
yeah,
and every single player on the Celtics, every single player has their flaws.
yeah,
There's always something wrong, and that's why you help build around it. Every
yeah,
championship team has every single player where there's something that they don't do. There's always something that they could
yeah.
improve on. There's no one's ever perfect at.
Yeah, like the tandem of Gafford and Lively, it's like what I'm watching Lively do, I've seen Nick do at a high level. What I'm watching, like the rim protection, I'm like, I've seen the rim protection on a high level. But these guys have a great tandem of bigs, and you add Kleber into that with the Mavs, great tandem of bigs. Like all those three bigs help stop, Rudy Gobert and Cat. It wasn't just Derek Lively by himself. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just Derek Lively that slowed down Chad and the Thunder. It wasn't just him by himself. He had the Gafford. He had, so it's like it's more than just one guy. It's just how you build your roster around your key pieces. So that's just what's the most valuable to me. But yeah, let us know in the comments. Hit that like button. Follow us on Twitter at Nets Kingdom AJ, and at Nets Rage, and on Instagram at Nets Kingdom 1. Yeah, we just want to do a video on Nic Claxton. We've seen the Nic Claxton news. What are your guys' thoughts? Let us know in the comments on what side you're on. If you want to keep Clax, what are his, everything about Clax. Appreciate you guys so much. We'll be back.